I don't sit down and consciously think, I'm going to write something really dark and weird and twisted and sick. I think you just write whatever is of interest to you and what genuinely makes you laugh.
Julia's style of comedy is kind of, it's madcap, it's free, it's freewheeling, it's off the wall.
People say, oh, it's really sick, isn't it? It's really black. I think it's beyond black. I think if there's a sick way of doing it and an even sicker way of doing it, then Julia will always go for the sickest possible.
I think there may be a part of me that wants to, I don't know, sort of wake people up a bit or something. I like watching things that are sort of a bit provocative in a way, I think.
He likes you, Joe. He's old man, isn't he?
He's old horse.
It started where Henry Normal, who co-runs Baby Cow with Steve Coogan, suggested to me that I write a half-hour pilot, which came off the back of a series I'd written with Bobby Bryden called Human Remains.
I first met Julia 5 years ago when I produced Human Remains, which she wrote with Rob Brydon and starred in, and it was a series of 6 fake documentaries. It was kind of a reality TV series, probably one of the first of its kind, you know, in terms of doing comedy.
I initially took a character from Human Remains slightly, who was called Beverly, who was an older lady, married to an Australian with a heart condition.
Very strange pair. Started out perfectly well, and then it all blew up.
It all blew up at the barbecue, didn't it?
They took exception to us barbecuing Dove.
Can't see a problem with that.
She was kind of West Country. I think she did a bit of hair and beauty stuff. And I just thought, oh, I want to do something around that.
That will burn a little bit on your ear. Is that burning, Joyce? That'd be a little bit of ammonia.
And then this idea of somebody pretending their husband was dying or dead. Not sure where that came from.
I mean, why? Why me?
Jill, let's keep it in perspective. It's me that's got the cancer.
The first series took 3 years to write. I write scenes, which is sort of, I think, reflected in the programmes, which is that they often aren't very logical, because I think, oh, this is a good idea for a scene, or these characters, or this line, or that. My thinking is much more around that than, oh, I've got a great story idea.
How's that water temperature for you, Mrs. Ware? Joy! Can you see to my fallen lady, please?
It's too hot, actually.
Is it? Unfortunately, that's all we got to work with this thermostat. Is that really burning?
Yeah.
Oh, dear.
Because the scripts were sort of controversial, there was a meeting where I sort of went in and, well, I guess kind of sold it to the BBC. Because I do remember that I think they liked it, but they were going, how is this fun? Is this funny? Is it just shocking? And so I did Jill, and I think kind of won them over that it could work.
Why you look so sad? The tears are in your eyes. Come on and come to me now.
Sometimes I can play her and I can really, it's really enjoyable and just fun. Because sometimes I get sort of a bit hysterical playing her, and that's really good fun.
Now, because the hair does extend down the entirety of the spinal column, there is a possible scenario whereby the child could be born fully hairy, like a monkey.
I don't think there's really a backstory to Jill. I tried. The only thing I can say is that her upbringing involved a lack of parents, whether it's that she was abandoned or, you know, a mother just didn't love her, whatever. There's something key there that caused her, you know, to be slightly unhinged.
one of Julia's great achievements with Jill is it's a tradition that comic monsters are actually deeply sympathetic. People like Basil Fawlty or Rigsby, they are wonderful monsters, and you actually feel so. Jill is an absolute horror.
Jill is one of those characters people love to hate, I suppose. She's absolutely fascinating, though, because you just think, what is she going to say next?
I saw Jesus smiling like a puppy.
She's kind of indestructible, which is, you know, something I'd like to be. Jill's wardrobe and the look of Jill is Claire Finlay. The only input I had was in the early days when we talked about Jill's look, was that she was tarty. I mean, I just think it was pretty well all Claire, because it was like Claire decided that she would have these particular colours, red, pink, black, I think are the key things. It's all kind of exposed bits and pretty monstrous kind of outfits. As soon as the character of Linda appeared in my mind, then it was always going to be Ruth that played it.
I am Linda. What is wrong with you?
Because I was friendly with Rob, when he started working with Julia on Human Remains, they sort of asked me to audition for it.
She also sort of took a character from Human Remains.
A spooky.
She was much more silent in that one, but it was sort of a development of that character.
Sorry I'm late, Jim. I had an attack.
Dennis.
Asthma.
Well, it's still going in the book then, Jim.
I think she was probably brought up on a farm. I think she was probably abandoned as a child, as a baby, probably. And I've always had this idea as well that she's got a very thick, impenetrable skull, which is why Jill was able to bash her so severely and violently over the head at the end of series 1, and how she survived. I think that Jill actually really does care about Linda in a very, very bizarre way. Maybe possibly slightly lesbian, I don't know.
The character of Dawn, the original thing I had in mind is that he would be this handsome Mr. Darcy type man. And then I even thought, oh my God, what if it was Colin Firth? And I think we sent a tape to him of stuff, and we sent a script and all this. Never heard from Colin. So that's the end of that. But then we went down this whole path of like, oh, should we go for one of these handsome sort of period drama type men? And then we got Angus. I think with Don, although he was meant to be initially sort of mysterious and, you know, slightly Mills and Boon, whatever, he just ended up as a sort of more and more in the script as well, like this non-committal man who would just rather not get involved in anything. But it needed to be done with humour, which is what young Angus brought.
That's it. Empty the jug. Good girl. Goody girl.
I read script 1 and just thought, this is fantastic and so dark. And I loved the character of Kath. I could immediately see how I could do her.
I feel pretty. Who's so pretty? I feel pretty and witty and gay.
Somebody I knew when I was a kid who had a slightly sort of passive-aggressive way of talking very softly when she was trying to be firm, and the firmer she was, you know, the more she tried to tell people off, the softer and gentler she became, and I thought that was a nice, useful tool.
How did you know where I was?
Message from him upstairs.
Gosh.
Via Sue.
Oh, right, yes. Little bit naughty of Sue, really.
I was very worried about how to convey what I saw in the script, which was that this wasn't a joke about a woman in a wheelchair, because I really categorically don't believe it is. I think it's a joke about, as one critic put it, a woman who's crippled by politeness. And all the indignities heaped on her by Jill are nothing to do with the fact that she's in a wheelchair, really. She'd be doing the same kind of things to anybody. It just happens that, from Jill's point of view, it's very fortunate that Kath has that additional weakness.
Hiya, Kath! Come on, Catherine Wheels! When I was first cast as Sue 2, I mean, Julia texted me and said, I'd like you to play a character called Sue 2. Sue 2? I mean, that's not even a name.
Sue passed over 6 months ago. There's always hope. You know, I was blessed again in the form of Sue 2. Second Sue.
She's so sort of pouty and sexual, and I like seeing Jill up against her as sort of competition.
How many of those have you had, Sue? 2. You're eating up your feelings, Sue. Like for Jill. Oh.
The constantly erect nipples that Julia was obsessed about, can I just say, had to be right. It was fascinating because suddenly the character becomes about breasts and it becomes about these nipples. And whatever you do, sort of people's eyes are down there looking at the nipples. So they physically change you, as in a pair of shoes as an actress, if you're playing a character, will change you. And so the breasts become a prop.
Don? Pepper.
She brought the sort of sexiness, you know, the kind of pouty thing, which then developed much more in the second series, where she was just like rampant nymphomania.
I think that Julia pushed on the sex even more and upped the boobs a bit more. I mean, she said, oh, definitely they should be bigger. And, I mean, I was quite horrified, actually, how big they were.
Fancy a Clemens. Get sucking on a big baguette.
Living out in the country, people have found out, eventually, that I'm in Nighty Night. And they have really been saying things, which is quite funny. You know, like, it's disappointing your bosoms aren't as big as I thought they were. And you think, yeah, that's a lovely thing to say.
Hey, so right, take one, camera ready.
Action.
Mark Gatiss, he came in on series 1 initially just for this character in the first episode where we go on a date.
I just arrived, I said, I think the character's Scottish. This is what it sounds like. I brought these teeth. Vanessa White had a wig spare. We put the whole thing together. And one of the funniest days I've ever had, trying to desperately get through that scene without laughing.
Are you paying for this? Or?
Oh, yes. Quite prepared to climb the tree.
Right, we'll have the fillet steak, thank you, and a bowl of chips to myself.
Right.
Do you want to try picking up?
Have you been here before?
Oh, yes. Nightly.
Right. So what would you recommend?
Jill, I can recommend.
I felt he should have big teeth, which I had from The League of Gentlemen, these teeth going spare, and then this fantastic kind of curly perm. Just all came together. And then the tick, which was like the last part of it, which is based, I'm sorry to say, on someone I know from years ago. So I just kind of exaggerated that into that.
Cut, please.
Brilliant. It was just a stupid ragbag of kitchen sink ticks, and that's, you know, a character was born.
What is it you look for in a lady, Clint?
Oh, not fussy. As long as she has 2 eyes, nice personality. Not so keen on bottom stuff.
When it came to the editing episodes 5 and 6 of the first series, basically we realised that those 2 episodes were just a drama and not, there's no comedy in them. and we thought, well, what is it that's made, what's good about the earlier episodes? And to me, it was Mark was key.
They asked me to come back and shoot some new stuff. And because the whole thing is kind of so improvisatory and sprawling, it was a perfectly feasible thing to do. We ended up improvising lots of new stuff with Glenn and Jill, which we then put into episodes, and it was absolutely seat of your pants stuff. It was very exciting. We were doing, I know we did the stuff in the sex shop about 6 days before it was actually transmitted and things like that. It was extraordinary.
Jill, what a lovely surprise. We had a date the other day. Glenn.
The reviews were really, really good for Series 1, and I thought people would be more appalled by the darkness of it than they seemed to be, but actually I think people relished how dark it was.
And the new heavyweight champion of the world, Nighty.
Thank you very much for this. Very glad that we've won this, because Kevin just said if we didn't win, he would chop his cock off.
Then there was suddenly talk of a Christmas special, and Julia immediately, I know, wanted to do it in Cornwall at some sort of retreat, one of the like the one that Kath had been talking about going to. And then it sort of changed into, we talked about that a lot, of what it might be, and that Glenn would survive but lose his guts and his memory and then come after Jill. And for a while it was going to be called Kill Jill. And then it became, why don't we do it in the series? So we did.
Take 2, cameras A and B.
Going to Cornwall, it was like the big series idea, obviously, to relocate and everything and then bring in new characters. But I'm not just saying this, but it was like a wonderful holiday.
We were lucky we got some investment from the lovely people in America, the Oxygen Channel, which allowed us to up sticks and move the crew, the casting crew, down to North Cornwall, to Bude, in fact, which gave us all the best locations, gave us the fantastic beaches and the cliffs.
It's a very much more sort of intense, actually, and concentrated thing, because we were just there all the time, shocking the residents of Bude. We actually did, I think, that on the whole, people in Bude were really nice, but a couple of occasions. In fact, one time we drove round on this low loader, with a car on the low loader, up and down the high street, you know, trying to do this scene. And every time we were about to say the 2 lines we had to say, me and Linda, this guy was going,
"Bloody inconvenience."
What does that mean, Jill?
I'm trying to work. And cut.
oh, is this again? Sorry. Says it every time.
Try a new line, darling.
I think they just didn't know what the hell was going on. And then seeing Angus running up the street in tiny trunks.
Jill, I really can't see you.
Oh my God, have you gone blind, Tom?
It was sad not to have Kev Eldon back. Kevy Eldon.
I didn't know what to do with Terry in the second series, and I said, I can't think of anything, you know, and we discussed all that, and it's just really sad that Kevin wasn't in this one.
Jill? No!
Terry, some man pay good money for this.
The new people in the second series, there's obviously the therapist, played by Ralph Brown, and that was quite exciting because he's done a lot of other stuff, but with Nell and I is the kind of key thing that I knew him from. And I liked when he came to for the casting, because he wore a wig and he just did some weird stuff.
I mean, with some guys, it's not a question of am I going to eat pussy, it's more a question of is pussy going to eat me.
There's a few people, there were sort of a few new characters, but some people who'd actually been in the first series, like Georgie Glenn, who plays Bluebell.
I would like some time alone with you.
She's brilliant, and she was in the first series as a nun.
Hopperton won't be able to accept you and your wife.
Mark Wootton, who plays Dennis.
So you're staying the night then, is it?
Played the dating agency guy Gary Furs in the first one.
If you just want to plop your body pot down on here, have a look.
To be honest, I found Kath in the second series and writing Kath kind of more interesting than anyone else.
She clearly wanted Kath to be stronger and to be flirtatious. In series 1, Kath is rather kind of sexless and cold in a way. And in series 2, suddenly Julia gave me the opportunity to be flirtatious, and I loved the idea of Kath being flirtatious.
The feeling I wanted to convey was that she's becoming all strong and she could break away from Don, she could have a new life.
I still feel a bit cross with Jill when I think back to what happened between her and Don in the bedroom.
Kitchen.
But then Jill comes back and then she kind of declines back to where she began, really. I sort of wanted Don in the second series to be having like a midlife crisis where he's going to have, you know, really long permed hair and try and be all sexy and going out with young girls and all that.
Angus in the first series, he knew exactly, I suppose, what he was letting himself in for.
Don!
In the second series, it was rather a different matter. We had him facing some of his fears, like singing in public.
I'm like a bird.
And making love on a public beach.
Your daddy. Puffy! It's grossly vulgar what we were doing. I mean, it's just unbelievably vulgar. But it was quite funny, really. And also, Angus was slipping down on the rocks. I think he was moaning about cutting his knee or something. And, and I was, like, pretty uncomfortable. So we were pretty obsessed with our knees, I think, rather than obsessed about something else.
Oh. I'm sorry, we're slipping.
Ow! 8:25, take 3, A and B cameras.
Action!
Julia and Mark worked so beautifully together that he became a mainstay of the second series.
For several days, I was sunburned and blacked up in a sailor suit, and so I arrived on the set like that. That was it. Hello.
58, take 3, A and B camera mark.
I remember and just sitting in that pub like that, thinking, what are the locals thinking about this?
Hey, I'm Nelson. I'm from Inverness.
I could play Glenn forever. I know where I am with him, and it's also a place where you feel relaxed, and I find it a happy thing to improvise Glenn lines, because once the teeth were in and everything, I feel like I can do it. I can be him and come up with things, you know, where it doesn't always work like that with other characters. The second series, I think, is broader, it's dirtier.
Maybe you could just press your titties against the glass. It's been a long time, really.
Which I remember Julia worrying about before we started shooting, that it had gone very filthy, which is true, but everyone seems to like it.
I think Julia has, it's almost like a kind of comedy Tourette's thing. She has to venture into the darkest possible areas. And there are moments when I think she even slightly shocks herself.
The only thing I found a bit shocking when I read the script, not shocking for what it was, but just, I just thought, oh, I don't know about that, was the whole lesbian kind of orgy thing in episode 6.
I was worried about some of the content for this series.
I have always got that part of me that wants to push it that one bit further and go. It's sort of a weird thing between wanting to be shocking, but then not wanting to be told off for it.
Do we put it in the front bottom or the back bottom, Jim? Linda! Right.
The main character that I was worried about, you know, was her relationship with Bruce, Kath and Dawn's 12-year-old son. That was something that I talked to the BBC about.
I still partly think you could push that stuff, but it's tricky because I just think there's this whole division between what you're allowed to do in comedy and what you're allowed to do in drama, and for some reason, comedy, you're not allowed to explore or it's frowned upon far more, you know. When I'm up in his room dancing, there's very strict guidelines that we had to sort of adhere to in the making of it. And so a lot of it is like you film separately, so what appears to be us in the room together is not the case. And so with the dancing, that we did one where I danced with him there, and then I did a take of like a really sexual dance. And then you just decide in the edit and you go, is that actually funny to be really, you know, and it seemed mostly not to be.
Such a pitch black comedy, and the character of Jill is so irredeemably horrible, and yet people have a tremendous fondness for it.
She's sort of a heroine, really, in a bizarre sort of way, isn't she?
I remember a woman coming up to me in a supermarket. It's a really kind of nice middle-class lady, and she came up to me and said, I saw Nighty Night, and I said, oh right, you know, what did you think? Because we didn't have any idea of what people were going to say, and she said, it really spoke to me. And that disturbed me so much that it could mean that much to somebody. Really upset me, because it just makes you wonder what that woman's life is like.
I do sometimes get asked to say lines like Linda. One of the favourites seems to be, randomly, in the interview sequence in the therapy centre where Jacques says,
Linda, what do you think you can bring to the trees as a therapist?
Sandwiches. So people do like me to go, sandwiches.
I've often been asked to do the raw, which is nice. It's, you know, like a catchphrase. People want to do it, and I've done it a lot on camera phones recently. And I have to stand there like that, waiting for the thing to go off.
I do find it quite depressing when I get recognised as Linda, because I just think, how?
I know I said there wouldn't be a second series of Nighty Night, but I really, really don't think there'll be a third series.
Third series, I don't think so. I don't, apart from the Spanish language version, which we'd all like to do. Hola, Jill. Hola, Glenn. I can't see where on earth we would go with that.
I don't know if people want another series. I don't even know, really. And it is like, where would you go? Someone was talking about Nighty Night the musical as an idea, which I do think could be quite good.
Or an opera. We should take it to the ENO. And yeah, because the stories are very operatic and are tremendously interesting. I could see that. And then, of course, you could have an aria from Glenn that just starts like that.